Hello friend, welcome back to MiniCooper Garage. In the previous videos you had a chance to learn, or let's say to see, how to remove the brakes on this generation of the Mini. So I already did all of that. You can see it, the whole caliper properly hanging up there, right? And this is the point where we can start in this video showing how to remove front CV axle. And why you will be removing it? Well, could be the different reasons. Maybe you want to remove the transmission, right? But look, in this case, this one is in really bad shape. Let me switch my hands, zoom on it for you, right? And you see this is so-called inner boot, and that boot is severely ripped. Do you see that grease trying to get out of it? Look at that. I had it temporarily taped. You see the residue from the duct tape just for a few miles, that it was not shooting that oil all over. But now it's time to get rid of it, to remove it and replace it. And as you can see, one side of that CV shaft goes into the transmission. This is the 5-speed transmission. And one side, the other side, goes all the way up here. So it's very obvious that we have to remove this nut. And I cannot just put the socket on it and blast it off. As you can see, here is that safety part which is bent in that groove, and first I have to bend it up so I don't damage the threads and everything. To lift that lip of that nut, I always try to use some kind of chisel, right? It's a hard material. This nut is 32 millimeter size. And here we go. It's nicely off. Let's see if the shaft is stuck or I have to hammer on it. Oh, this one is very easy, movable in and out. Nice. My next step will be removing this steering tie rod, which you see right here. And the wrench, it's number 15 for the nut. And to stop that ball joint from rotating, I'm using hex number 5. And this tie rod will not pop out because it's nicely sitting inside. So you need a special tool for that. For the job, you can use tie rod removal tool right here, or I will use this very small puller. Why I use that? Because I want to absolutely make sure I will not damage this rubber housing for that ball joint. And I will carefully pull that tie rod end off. And you see it nicely separated. Right behind this shield is the ABS sensor. So not to do any damage to it, I will use hex number 5 to remove the bolt which is holding it down in that position. That's easy. Excuse me. It's a lot of dust here. And now I should be able to pull that sensor up. And here we go. And I know I will not damage it. And the last thing I have to undo is that control arm ball joint. The nut size is 18 millimeter wrench, and the holding one tool, right, is again 5 millimeter hex. And as before, I'm extremely careful around that rubber boot of that ball joint so I don't do any damages to it. Now you can see it from different angle, right? So this finally separated, right? And as you can see, moving this entire strut outwards will give me chance to separate, right, this CV shaft from it. And look at it, it's already out and free. So now the last step will be separating it from the body of the transmission. And this is, without any doubt, most critical part of removing the CV shafts. You know, one of the main reasons is you don't want to damage the seal which is in the transmission, right? So you have to be delicate with it, but in the same time it needs a lot of power to pop it out using that pry bar. I remember in past when I work on Toyotas, I remember I had once some Toyota RAV4. I was fighting it, that removing it for like half an hour, just this one step. And the shaft popped out easily using actually this bar. What I forgot to tell you, normally on Toyotas, if you remove this CV shaft, you don't lose any oil out of the transmission. Apparently on the Minis, the level is differently managed inside of the tranny, and as you can see and hear, there's quite a lot of that gear oil coming out. Let me show you that. I immediately ran, of course, to get the drip pan, right, which I should have that there in beginning. You can see it right here, right? And let me again zoom it for you. The level is definitely differently managed, as I said, than on Toyotas. What is my experience? So if you do this job on Mini, I know the manual said drain all the oil from the tranny first, and I was kind of debating it like, oh really? Why the level will be so high on it? But obviously, yeah, design is different and it is what it is. Here you can finally see the whole axle out, right? This is the outer part, and this is that ripped boot on the inner part. This was inside of that transmission, right? This is where the seal is touching the shaft, right, basically. And here is the ring. It's a spring loaded ring which actually holds it inside. You can see this is really thick gear oil, obviously, right? This is manual transmission, so the oil is way thicker than it will be in the automatic transmission. Now installation is reverse what we just did, right? Just always when you are putting the shaft back, you have to make sure you don't damage that seal which is down there, otherwise you will end up with the transmission oil leak. And as we looked at that boot, right, it's completely ripped, so it's puking that oil, right? Of course, it will be good if you can rebuild this, right? But to my knowledge, you can buy only this boot for the outer. This is rebuildable, and I believe even the dealership doesn't sell this boot. I don't know why, what's the difference, right? But I believe in this case you have to really go and replace all unit. If you will be buying it from aftermarket stores, take it with you, because the length might matter, right? And also there might be core charge, right? They want to get this one back. That might be easy, like a $30 core savings when you give them this one. And that's really all from me in this video. Please make sure you are subscribed, because I will have way more coming your way soon. Thank you for watching today, and I will catch you next time.